Many years of neglect, technical problems, underfunding, government interference with management, inconsistent government policy and implementation, falling rolling stocks level, worn out and obsolete infrastructure has left a once vibrant sector in a dormant state. With our eyes still set in Jos, the Plateau State capital, Kuru community became our next stop. A mining and farming community with beautiful scenery and vast hectares of land at their disposal. Though, due to some illegal mining activities, usable land have been destroyed and water bodies polluted. After driving on red, dusty, untarred road for about 30 minutes, the secluded community was finally in view. We were greeted with hesitation due to recent attacks and unrest that happened in the locality. Because of the porous nature of the community, the rail tracks are increasingly vulnerable to vandalism.
I can only say times have changed. Whether security or not, as in our understanding of security. Years back, we didn't have these challenges. There were no police, no soldier, no civil defense on the track waiting to see who to catch. The lines were safe. Just like I said, times have changed. People, for their economic reasons or whatever quest they want to achieve, have decided to descend on such an important critical asset. Howbeit, the security we are looking at here is the kind that doesn't have one direction in terms of approach. Given the fact that it is well known that railway lines are being vandalized, virtually every state is, Commissioner of Police is aware, the Commandant of Civil Defense are aware, the government as in governors or leaders of those states are aware, the youth leaders are aware, the community members are aware, even the vigilantes are aware.
Transportation in and out of the area is a big issue, as the only means of movement are motorcycles and bicycles.
Our major source of transportation is machine, cars, bus, vehicle and the rest. But we find it very difficult of going up and down. But with the train, we find it very easy. But we still advise the government can help us to reconstruct the road and to even make the road to be functioning very well. Then we the poor people here in this community, we can even improve, develop very well more than before.
It is indeed a sad reality that you find stations like this littered all across the country. It is also sad that the federal government was reported to have spent over 50 billion naira for the reconstruction of this rail track linking from here to Bauchi and then from Maiduguri and back. Even though the residents say construction had actually started to the extent that passengers were being taken to and from their destination, and all of a sudden it stopped. The trains designed to bridge the distance between Kuru and Jos City or other states like Bauchi and Maiduguri has not functioned since 2015. Reports have it that in 2014, rehabilitation work concluded on the Kuru-Maiduguri rail tracks and operations commenced until it was marred by corruption, regulatory failure, collusion, as the project was awarded to 3 different contractors in March 2011. Despite huge funds already sunk, hopes of people, especially residents and traders who had in the past several years relied on train services, was dashed. We met with the Nigerian Railway staff, Matthew Bala, who took us round the facility. He explained that only Kuru Station, a major route, has a diamond crossing that splits the tracks and redirects trains to other parts of the country. A diamond crossing, in railway terminology, is the point where 2 railway lines cross, forming the shape of diamonds at the crossing point. It is also an intersection where a train on one track normally crosses another track, but when required, is also diverted to that track as a safety feature to avoid collision. They are extremely rare. This is called the Diamond Crossing. And as you can see, this particular intersection, this one by my right leads to Bauchi, while this one by my left actually leads or links whatever train that's passing this rail to Jos. These farmers use the Diamond Crossing as a waymark back to their community.
In kin kaje wancan home signal akwai inda hanya rabu biyu na line Jos da line Bauchi, sannan railway muna kira wannan wurin Diamond Crossing, and the whole 7 division ba dan lokacin muke da su babu wannan Diamond Crossing daga nan Kuru station sai Zaria. Yes, daga Kuru station sai Zaria su ne suna da wannan Diamond Crossing, because we have almost 2 Diamond Crossing in the whole railway. 2 Diamond Crossing, Kuru station and Zaria. Bayan wannan, we don't have any Diamond Crossing. Domin mun je can zan nuna maka inda muna abin nan da cewa Diamond Crossing, inda jirage suna zuwa ana raba su wadannan su shiga part nasu wadannan su shiga part nasu.
A new station office building was erected and the project was discontinued, while just adjacent, the old one sits in ruin.
Na kai almost 23 years ana. Kwanakin baya jirage suna tafiya, amma yanzu automatically da tun da Chinese suka bar contract din ba wani jirage suna tafiya. Dalilin da sa jiragen ba su tafiya shine kin gan Chinese sun yi aiki, bayan aikin su sai sace ya shiga, an ciccire su slippers da su kuli-kuli da fish plate, automatically hanya yanzu babu. Domin idan mu da zamu ba wa don saboda wurin da zamu tafiya wurin ina da nisa bane, da mun je zaki gani wani su wurare an cire more than kilometer bayan da jirgi zai tafi. Kamin mu tashi daga nan idan zamu je Jos, zamu hau machine daga nan zuwa junction is 150. Kaga amma in lokacin da ku jirage daga nan zuwa Jos is 200 naira. To kin ga daga nan zuwa Jos is 150. Daga junction zuwa cikin Jos is 300 naira. Kagan amma da akwai jirage ne, kin gan akwai sassaucin kuɗi. In kin calculate machine daga nan zuwa can 150, daga junction kuma zuwa Jos 300 naira, making now 450 naira. Yinda ya kamata ka biya a bari ma ce 200 naira, amma ka biya 450. Kagan almost 150 naira zaka ka siya ko fiye wata ka yi amfani da shi a jikinka.
For quite a long time, this station has been giving us an important development in this community. Most especially, people find it very easy in transportation. As from here to Lagos, Port Harcourt, here to Maiduguri and the rest. But recently, it came to a surprise to us. The train is not moving like before. So I'm still advising the government. So the government can look upon into our sufferness in this community. Government should help us one way and the other, so that people should find it very easy in transportation. Before, if you are going to Bukuru or Jos, you can spend just only 15 naira. But now, before going to Bukuru or Jos, you must spend about 400, go and come back 400 or 800 naira. So we are still advising the government. If the government can help us to bring back the railway into a standard, then we shall be happy with government. So that's the short development that we have.
These fluid wagons or rail tankers that transport fluids by rail have also been left idle. Kuru residents bemoan the fact that some contractors who had worked on the tracks are seen vandalizing them with their ID cards, reflective jackets, and work tools still on them even after the contract is completed. The railway staff further lamented that arrested vandals let go once bail is posted, go back to the tracks, claiming to recoup their bail money and also threatening the residents.
When some of these vendors are caught, for some inexplicable reasons, tomorrow you see them on the streets, sometimes spitting threats to those who caught them. Beyond that happening as in limited investigation and prosecution, there are several challenges associated with that. Either by the way they were being prosecuted, you can see somebody who thoughtfully went to a rail line, removed the slippers, pandroid clips, the fish plates, cut the rail. You simply charge him for stealing. It's not stealing. That's vandalization. And there's an aspect of law that handles that. So knowing that what he did was vandalization, vandalism, why charge him for stealing? And again, even on that, when you take some of them to court, it depends also on the court you take them to. Not all courts attend to cases on vandalism. The lower courts, smaller courts, magistrate courts are not very competent to handle them. Given that, there are challenges. For instance, if you take a suspect to magistrate court, he has limited jurisdiction on that case and will only preside on it according to the existing penal code. And most regrettably, most states, most courts rather, their penal codes are very, very antiquated. Even if you review them, they can only be limited in the where they will give a judgment. But ideally, all cases on vandalism or vandalization ought to be handled by the higher courts. Federal high courts, they are the ones that will prescribe maximum punishment in regard to that. So if that is not done, we also see what we are seeing. I can sincerely tell you that security agencies are trying. But as in every 12, there's always a Judas. There are officers of Nigerian Police Force, Civil Defense, Nigerian Army, even mere civil defense, who will not tolerate anybody who is vandalizing railway lines. They will get hold of them, they will take them to the appropriate authorities for prosecution. But regrettably, even amongst them, you'll also see people who will truncate that, who will even be a huge guide as to how they can escape from such a problem they're into, by way of what they should do and what they should not do, and by way of the fashion of charges to be preferred against them. That is highly regrettable.
The judiciary and other authorities are also accused of complicity.
There are judges or magistrates who will not entertain hearing that somebody willfully vandalized railway lines. They will want to ensure that justice is carried out in the most appropriate manner. It is also possible some amongst them will just close their eyes and do what they think they want to do. There have been cases, if you had called to our station some months ago, even in recent time, you see trucks, vehicles of all brands, cars, buses, trucks, trailers. But what is the consequence at the end of the day? They'll brandish before you court order to release the vehicle. And while you are yet threatening, you will not. They will threaten you the more by bringing another court order. And what will the police officials do? They will say they are obeying court order. And I can bet you most of those things at the end of the day, those vehicles, you don't see them again. So the judiciary also need to be cautious on the way they administer these court orders. But that doesn't distance the fact that there are people who are very prompt in ensuring that justice is carried out.
New Kona Shini, in the government is also a say I renew hanyar jirgin nan don so that transportation na mutane za economize the more transportation na mutane. Domin in kin yakin duba yanzu kaman fuel jirage ke su doka fuel su kai a refinery ana amfani da shi. Passenger kin ga passenger yanzu most especially kaman mu daga nan muna kawai ne in zaka je Jos kagan zaka shiga jirgi daga nan kuma zaka gan kudin mota din is low da jirgi. Misali kaman daga nan zuwa Maiduguri mutane da su tafi Maiduguri available kuma for security purpose they are very safe. Amma kagan babu jiragen mun muna rukun gwamnati ne da so shine samu a taimaka ma talakoki so that komai ya tafiya inda ya kamata. Amma mun muna rukun gwamnati ne da so shine samu a gyara mana hanyar jirgi kuma bayan an gyara hanyar jirgi za a samu workers, za a employ workers wanda masu zaman banzan nan akwai students da suka gama makaranta ba aikin yi amma yayin da an samu an gyara hanya kin gan komai zai tafi daidai kuma sace-sace zai zama da soki.
Because the Jos and Kuru divisions are under Kafanchang, it behooved us to get further clarification on the stagnancy of these stations.
North Central District was carved out from some existing districts in 1980 or thereabout. There were for administrative reasons. You see the large nature of the corporation. It was purely for convenience of administration and operation. Although over time, given some challenges, it was shut down and reopened. It was shut down about 1996 and reopened in 1998. Ever since then, there has not been any good reason to shut it down again. So it has been. As a district, it covers some states. It stretches from Kaduna State, substantial part of Kaduna State, goes across Nasarawa State, the entire Nasarawa State. It also covers Benue State and a substantial part of Plateau State. These are the states within the districts. And the district is made up of, or has 46 train stations, as it were.
Kafanchan Railway Station gained its reputation as the administrative headquarters of the defunct North Central District of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, with various components and units that make up the station. Its commissioning in 1926 served as an instrument of accelerated development to the town.
We have about 1,057 on our last biannual. Of course, there are several components as in departments that makes up the streets. You have the medical, of course, let's start from the core departments. You have the civil engineering that mans all the infrastructure in the district, most importantly, the rail, the tracks. You also have the operations department that runs the trains. We also have the mechanical. Of course, we sleep in the district, we have it split into units. But as a whole mechanical, where you have a signaling section and telecommunication, you have the carriage and wagon that are in charge of maintenance of the rolling stocks. Also, you have the diesel section that is manned. All of these are manned by HODs. Of course, we have the personnel department or human admin resource department that mans the workforce. We have the public relations. We have the admin accounts department. We have the audit department. Equally, we have, of course, I've mentioned the public relations. We also have the medical department. These are what composes, to make up functional units. And all of these are being coordinated by the railway district manager.
Known as the Railroad Junction, it is one of the largest railway stations in Nigeria, comprising of multiple rail tracks. This junction links the North Central to the Middle Belt, Southeast, West, and the Northeast.
The lines that cut across here, you have the Eastern Line. The Eastern Line stretches from Port Harcourt, cuts across through to Maiduguri. The same line also that flows can also run through to Kano end. So it's a multiple line we maintain. Actually, our district is a strategic district, more of a nodal district. It interconnects other locations and lines that operate outside our areas. So from here, train can move from here up to Bauchi, beyond. Of course, what it suggests is from our boundary station, Igumane will take trains, pass them across. If it is the one going to Bauchi, we move as far as, or well, as close by as Kuru, which is our boundary station with Northeastern. And if we are to pass on train outside that line, we also run train to our boundary line, Kankomi, allowing the train to continue to another district. So in the same way, we also receive into our districts. And of course, we have an offshoot. Rather than going to Bauchi through our boundary line at Kuru, the train can also detour and have a terminus at Jos.
Hence, the popular slogan of the NRC in Kafanchan: no railway, no Kafanchan. This is majorly because the railway made Kafanchan what it is today. Millions worth of passenger and freight carriers and wagons are in a moribund state with broken down tankers and one-off tracks.
Prior to this time, trains were running, but for some challenges, there are no train operations at the moment. And the reasons are obvious. Challenge in rolling stock. When I refer to rolling stock, essentially the locomotive. So once the locomotives are available, we'll launch back. So temporary stoppage of train operations is squarely on the grounds of shortage of locomotives. And also, there is a thinking that there are areas at the moment that have more critical attention in terms of passenger flow. And of course, for every business, you would give your strength in your areas of best returns. That does not, however, suggest that the district is not viable, but primarily as a result of shortage of locomotives.
With the absence of security presence, these coaches are now substituted for avenues of committing crime. Even the platforms are used by residents to dry baobab leaves called kuka in Hausa.
So part of solving the problem will be, among other things, to ensure that the steel companies are well monitored. Every steel company belongs to an umbrella body. Their members, their umbrella body need to be tasked to inform their members, please do not receive any railway material that is not scrap, metal scrap, and gotten in a genuine way. There are people who are into metal scraps. You see some vehicles carrying body parts of vehicles. Some levels of chains of wholesalers or dealers, they also have umbrella body. There are vehicles that convert these things when they are stolen. The Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers, their members have to be cautioned. Of course, all transporters need to be not only cautioned. Tell your drivers, in all fairness, a few owners of these vehicles do not know what their drivers do, because to some of these drivers it's a quick source of revenue or income to their purse anyway. But in the event that they know or do not know, it's good you advise your driver, don't carry anything that is railway related without my approval and without me okaying it because it is a genuine transaction. Otherwise, in most cases, you see people just because they are called upon to leave, they go to carry. It shouldn't be so. And to nip in it also, if judiciary stands up to their responsibility to prefer appropriate charges, and if also security agencies ensures that whosoever is caught is made to face prosecution accordingly, I think it will mellow down. But most importantly, ensuring that the steel companies that receive these things are well placed on check.